I appreciate Chairman Thompson doing this today. I share his disappointment and Administrator Reagan not being here in person with us today. I represent the Big First District of Kansas, which is the western two-thirds of Kansas, except for the Wichita area. Farm country has made it loud and clear that they cannot survive when the government burdens them with nonsensical regulations and red tape. My view is that the federal government should support producers or get out of their way. As chairman of this committee's subcommittee on livestock, dairy, and poultry, I'm especially concerned with the nonsensical and costly regulations on livestock producers in my district and across the country, including EPA's proposed rule that would impact the effluent limitation guidelines for meat and poultry processing facilities. By EPA's own estimates, this rule could permanently close between 16 and 53 meat, poultry, and rendering facilities. Understand the same administration has provided grants and funds to increase our number of processing facilities, and meanwhile, this regulation would close between 16 and 53 of them. Makes no sense. Question for you, Mr. Cooper. What impact would the revised effluent limitation guidelines and standards have on your operation and on the animal protein industry as a whole?
Thank you, Congressman. So, yes, it'd have a large impact on us. I was actually talking about this a little bit earlier. We have two main food processing plants, and both of them are different. And many of our peers in our industry and through the National Pork Producers Council, many of the packers stuff, they all have different relationships with the local cities and towns, or they might have their own wastewater treatment plant, and that's what we have in our St. Henry Turkey Harvest Plant. We've been working with the local town for 36 years, and we have a pre-treatment plant, and then they take it from there and then go directly discharge from that. And we worked out between us investments. They've done investments. We've done investments. In our other plant, we have our own self-sustaining sewage plant that we have had for many decades, and we just enhanced and upgraded it. So those two are completely different animals, if you will, and the CLG would only just confuse it between us and the city, or between our own system there. So it could cause even us a lot of problem, and many of our peers. And then you move down to these, say, smaller processors, it would have a big impact on them, because they don't have, they just don't have the wherewithal to handle all the regulations that would come with the ELD.
Disaster. In my mind, it's a hammer looking for a nail.
Yep.
And it makes no sense. Thank you. I not only represent a district with meat processing facilities, but I also recognize these facilities' essential role within our communities in the larger food supply chain. I've urged and will continue to urge the EPA to withdraw this very short-sighted rule. Quick question for you, Dr. Larson. It's good to see you again. Protecting state pesticide preemption has been a long-time priority for me. I know it's been discussed a little bit already. Huge priority for Kansas farmers and ranchers who appreciate the certainty of having one state regulatory agency for pesticide versus several. Describe your experience on this issue. What is at stake if pesticide preemption is rolled back? And do you think Congress should codify protections to state pesticide preemption under EPA's FIFRA as the Farm Bill proposes?
Thank you, Congressman. Yes, I do believe that preemption should be codified through this committee. I've experienced it in Colorado for the last several years. They've been trying to overturn statewide preemption. They promise us, don't worry, because there's going to be an ag exemption. But as I mentioned, weeds don't understand county borders, ag borders, the seed travels. So when municipalities decide that they're going to regulate chemistries in a different way, they can lead to a blow up of weed seed that travels and impacts, honestly, the smallest farmers the worst within our communities, because it's irrigated ground, which is most likely flood irrigated. So that seed travels right onto their farm and creates a bigger issue for them, where they in turn may need to use more pesticides to try and control those weeds.
Yep. And the notion of having one agency, the states regulating.
Yeah, the states have to be the co-regulators here. They have the expertise just like the EPA does. The local governments simply don't have that level of expertise.
I completely agree. My time's quickly expiring. On year-round E15, I was going to ask a question, don't really have time, but I would just say it's way past time that we lock in year-round E15. We now have both chambers. You have Republicans and Democrats, Republican and Democrat administrations that have all said they're okay with year-round E15. Way past time to get that done. I know it'd be huge for our ag producers in Missouri, South Dakota, Kansas, and all over the Midwest.